Good morning, and welcome to the One Celtic Fans View. The Celtic news this morning, there's quite a bit of news kicking around. Obviously, we're going to talk slightly about yesterday. Morning, Paul. How are you this morning? Obviously, we'll talk about the AGM first. The first one I want to talk about is obviously the fact that Desmond wasn't there again yesterday, and his son was in attendance, and he did say about his dad. He said, "My dad grew up a passionate Celtic fan from when he was a young kid. He's a hugely passionate Celtic fan. The first thing he thinks about is when he wakes up, and the last thing he thinks about when he goes to sleep is Celtic." Nah, I don't believe that. Especially with the amount of businesses that he runs. We don't consider ourselves shareholders in the club. He went on to say, "We are huge fans, custodians. Not in his lifetime, or nor in my lifetime, will we be selling the club. Our stake in Celtic is not an issue for us." So tell me in the comments what you think about that. Good morning, everyone that's joined the. Is a bit. Give me. I just need to suffer those lights. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, can't wait to get back to my own studio. I'll tell you that. Right, then the next bit of Celtic news I want to talk about is Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers was talking about the transfer, outlining the transfer policy going forward, especially for the next transfer window. Even though we brought in 9 players the last transfer window, Brendan Rodgers admitted that we need quality amid rising project player criticism. Brendan Rodgers did say, he said, "Look, Palmer's earned his chance in the team and taken it. He might have had to wait a bit longer if Liel Abada had stayed fit." That was an interesting one from Brendan Rodgers. Odenome and Yang are seeing a decent amount of game time, and so has Paulo Bernardo, due to the fact that Rio Hatate has been injured. Now the sun popping out, exact perfect timing. Brendan Rodgers admits that it needs quality over quantity over the next couple of windows. So it'll be interesting to see the way that they go over the next couple of windows. Obviously, we've had a lot of project players in. The Celtic manager is working alongside Mark Lawwell, he said, in the recruitment team. He says it's no different with dealing with a sporting director. That was an interesting one, because a lot of people have been saying, do Celtic need a sporting director? And that sun's blinding me this morning. Jeez. People have been saying, do Celtic need a sporting director? But we seemingly have Mark Lawwell, who is playing the role of sporting director. So is that what he's hinting at, that Mark Lawwell is doing the role of sporting director? That's an interesting one. It's an interesting one from Brendan from yesterday's AGM. He did say, look, it's no different than working with a sporting director. Wow. People always wonder, especially when the club doesn't have a sporting director, or it does have a sporting director, he says, but there's no different in most clubs. We identify the profile of players that we want, the recruitment team put that down to a certain number of players, then it comes forward to me, and I decide the best ones to bring in, said Brendan Rodgers at the Celtic AGM yesterday. Now, there's a player at Celtic Park just now who it's been suggested is not good enough. He's not good enough. £3 million signing might be offloaded in January, because he's basically not pulling his weight, if you ask me, and training, reading between the lines. It looks like Celtic's £3 million summer signing, Gustaf Lagerbielke, is not doing enough to prove that he's worthy of a first team place at the club. There's a comment on the Go Radio football show. It says, I really think they need to trim the fat in January. Well, we all know that. When you look at the players that we look like we're going to get rid of in January, it could be the likes of Bernabe, Kobayashi, Mikey Johnson's coming at the end of his contract, James McCarthy. And when you look at the defence, Stephen Welsh comes back fit in a couple of weeks. Rocky comes back. Lagerbielke is that far out the side that it's unbelievable. So will he be trimmed due to the fact that he's not getting into the team just now? If he's not getting into the team just now, he's obviously not good enough as far as the Celtic backroom staff are concerned. So Celtic need to do a bit of work to get him playing the way that we would like to. Is he one for the future? Will he be loaned out to just help his career along and get him back to Celtic? Now, the big transfer news, Celtic transfer news of this morning, and it is blinding. Let me sit over here a bit. The sun is out in Fife, finally. And the sun is out. The big transfer news this morning is that Sydney van Hooijdonk and his club Bologna. Celtic have recently made inquiries about Van Hooijdonk and his availability in the January transfer window. The $4 million rated frontman, will Celtic have to pay $4 million for him? Even though he's not playing this season, even though he's not had a lot of game time, will Celtic have to pay that amount? Because if he's not playing, let's face it, there's no way that Celtic will pay the valuation. You know what Celtic are like. We all know what they're like. He's hardly kicked the ball this season, so there's no chance that Celtic will pay that. They might get him on loan to the end of the season with an option to buy for $2 or $3 million. $3 million, I'd probably say about $3.5 million. They might go for going up to $4 million, depending on appearances and things like that. Bologna are leaving nothing to chance. They have lined up a variety of potential mid-season successors to bring someone in to fill his squad place. The publication that first made it known obviously said that they're considering a few players, and they're looking to the fact that it looks like Van Hooijdonk could be leaving in the next transfer window. But in talking about it, Van Hooijdonk said, "I am fine at Bologna. I'm at a good team. I like it a lot. But I have to do what is best for my growth and for my career. I also have to play," says Van Hooijdonk in an Italian publication yesterday. In football, things can change quickly, Van Hooijdonk says. There are 2 months left until January, and who knows what will happen. Do the rumours about my possible transfer bother me? It's normally when you don't play. In the last year and a half, he's played a lot. You remember he played last season on loan in Holland, and he'd done quite well there. He then went on to say, "We will see what happens." So it looks like he is open to a move to Celtic. It looks like Bologna know that he will be moving on. Has things been going on in the background that we do not know about? Have Celtic made it clear that they want the player? And will he be our Celtic striker in a couple of weeks? I'm going to shut that curtain, man. Can't see a thing this morning. He's got, Michael. Right, we'll get to the comments now. We've done the Celtic news bit. I'm changing it around a bit. I'm going to get straight in with the Celtic news from now on, and then get to the comment section just to make sure that we get that little bit of attention in the first sort of 10-15 minutes of the video. So first up was Paul Emery, morning to you. Baz, Catherine Rebel, hail. Tam Mack was in the house. Good morning, Lorna. And morning. Would it be Sydney Devine? He hasn't played in ages. We need someone ready for action. Although that, Ian, there's one thing that I think about when I like that. Is he still training with the first team squad? Is he still as fit? He might not be there game time, but when it comes to January, we do have a space of a couple of weeks to make sure that he's up there fitness wise. We will need someone once the games start back thick and thin at the end of January, due to the fact that the Asia Cup will take our front line away. And you know what Brendan Rodgers is like? Brendan Rodgers sometimes likes getting the likes of a bad apple and making them good. We've done it before with Celtic. We went out and got strikers before. There weren't flavour of the month. If you look at Chris Sutton when he was back in the day, when Chris Sutton was at Chelsea and we took him from Chelsea, Chris Sutton wasn't playing at Chelsea. You know, Chris Sutton wasn't getting a game in, week out. Chris Sutton wasn't flavour of the month done at Chelsea. He had a torrid time done in Chelsea, and we brought him forward. And it has to come to his mindset. It does have to come to his mindset, and I think that that's the biggest issue that I've got. But if Brendan Rodgers can work his magic on the player, it could be a good signing. But his mindset has to be correct. The fact that he's fallen out with the team and the management at Bologna is a big worry for me. But going forward, if he's open to the idea, he has said already though he needs to be playing football. I don't want it to be the case that he comes in, he gets a good few games under his belt, and then Kyogo comes back after the Asia Cup and slots right back into the team. He might then take the huff. But then again, if we get him on loan, it could be a good option to get him in, just to get him in on loan until the end of the season, just to see what he's like. And I think Brendan Rodgers might think that also. And you know, it's the way that Celtic are going just now. They'll get them in on a loan to buy, just to see if they're there and their mindset's there and they can take the team forward. Anyway, back to the comments. We'll just run through these comments. Tilo needs some match time. He looks a cracking player. Everyone looks a cracking player on YouTube. I could look cracking on YouTube, but I think it's an interesting one with Tilo. It is an interesting one. Let's just jump through them. Mikey played a blinder for Ireland midweek. It's okay, I'm doing it for Ireland, and the occasion that Ireland play, but he has to do it for Celtic on an ongoing basis. Michael, glad to get to your one. In relation to Pierre, yes, it's Pierre's son. It is Pierre van Hooijdonk's son that we're talking about. And Van Hooijdonk scored loads of goals in Holland last season. Yes, he did that. And that's what it's interesting. That's where it gets interesting, because Holland's a similar sized league to Scotland. You know, it's a similar type of quality if you look at it like that. The fact that it's a population size as well, you know, everything going around it, people that go to games and that, it's a league that could mirror what he done last. You know, maybe Italy just isn't for him. It's not for everyone. But the one person it is for is Liam Henderson. Did you see Liam Henderson talking on the Celtic podcast? It was interesting to see Liam Henderson say that if he was playing on a consistent basis at Celtic, he would never have left. He would never have left Celtic. So that was interesting. You know, he did leave at a time where we had Scott Brown, Callum and everybody. It was the invincible season, so it was hard for him to break through. He did play about 37 games, I think, Henderson, but there is life after Celtic, Henderson said. That was good. Yeah, it's his son David. Hi Baz, morning Brown Water, morning Baz, showing off for the sunshine. Yeah, it's sunny in Fife. It's weird. It's good because I'm going out today. My brother better get up. Hartson, yeah, Hartson wasn't flavour of the month either. You've got to remember the Sevconians turned him down because of his dodgy knee. And they said that he had a dodgy knee and they didn't want to sign him. And then they signed for Celtic. So Celtic do keep on bringing players out, and especially strikers. We do have a track record of bringing players out that aren't flavour of the month and then taking them forward and making them absolutely fantastic players. It could be the same. My mind is slightly changing, but it all comes back to the mindset of the player, the fact that he has been a bit disruptive at his club. But he said that he needs to play, so is Celtic the team for him? You have a moody striker at Celtic. It doesn't have it. Yes, we've already had moody strikers at Celtic, and he was moved on. Van Hooijdonk or GG? That's a hard one. I think we'll let that player go because he was in a similar position. He wasn't getting enough game time at Celtic. And that sun is unbelievable. Makes me look white as a ghost. Yeah. JG's been and gone. He's now doing his thing in America. He wanted to leave Celtic because he wasn't getting enough game time. Let's get the Van Hooijdonk guy in, get him in on loan and see what he can do. Do you know, Holland is a bit more competitive, 3 times population size. But with the amount of people that go to games, it's it's a bit more on par because some of the lower teams yeah, you're probably right. I'm getting blinded by the sun. My brain is fried this morning. What's happening with the goalkeeper? Nobody knows. Get the Aki's goalkeeper. If it's Pierre's son, then I'm Batman. It looks nothing like him. Maybe the milkman's. Of course, it's Pierre's son. It's Pierre's. His dad's even been talking about him. Where does Liam Henderson's brother go? I can't remember. He went to Hibs at one point. And Henderson's brother, and then I'm not sure where he went. I'm sure Hibs released him last season. Hartson wasn't even fit when we signed him. Yeah, that's true. We've got a thing about signing unfit players, don't we? And that's historical, it seems. With no games at Celtic, he still managed a cracking game. Yeah, we need goalkeeper. The holy goalie, Moravchik, and a Gath. Yep. Hi, Baz, do you trust the board? When it comes to financial doings on the board, yeah. When it comes to anything to do with the fans, I don't trust them as far as I throw them, especially when Peter Lawwell's in house. And it's funny when you see some of the online, when you go online and you see the difference between those that follow the likes of Celtic Underground, who's just a mouthpiece for Peter Lawwell, and the way that the Slate fans that don't go along with the narrative. I'll never go along with the narrative if I think it's bad for Celtic. And I think that the way that the club isn't taking as much opportunity as it should at the moment. We should be miles ahead of that team for across the road, and especially since the financial position we're in, we should have been light years ahead of them. I feel that it's a chance once again that the board haven't just taken that little bit of risk. And when it comes to football, a little bit of risk can sometimes go a long, long way. Look at the Sev Conans. They've taken a lot of risk over the years with no money, and they've managed to go a long way. They got to a European final, where we haven't since 2023. So do I trust them? Yes, when it comes to money and the running of the club, the day-to-day business, and the strategy that we've obviously had of buying in players and selling them on has been a success. So from a business point of view, you can't say they're doing much wrong. But when it comes to the fan base, nah, don't trust them one bit. It's wet and windy in Cumbernauld. It is absolutely scorchio here in Fife. I had to move out the room that I was in because I couldn't see the screen. Glad to see that you've escaped the IDF. Yep, I escaped the IDF and made it out the bunker for today's live. Yes, I did that. Elanusi. Elanusi was one that I thought he played the other night against Scotland, and that header from the back post. You seen him coming in from the edge of the pitch, and he played it an absolute blinder. But we do have enough wide players to do at Celtic just now, so we don't really need Elanusi. Fast forward 20, 30 years, will the fans be at paradise trying to oust the current dynasty? 20, 30 years, the Celtic Park will be a lot bigger than what it is. It'll be the full-sized, it'll be a proper stadium with going right round. It'll be fantastic. The atmosphere won't be what it was. It'll be full of happy clappers, and football then will probably be a bit more like American football, where there's more stoppages than anything due to VAR. So 20 or 30 years' time, what the hell, I'm still not doing these. Yeah, well, I'll be a right grumpy old man then. A proper grumpy old man. Baz is I'm the friendly ghost this morning. No, that's Seth Conan's. Casper is live. Yes, Casper the ghost is live. It is. Morning, Baz, the International Dundee firm. Right. Since I now look whiter than white with the sun, hallelujah. I can't do that. I'm actually not seeing the screen. So the news is this morning that Van Hooijdonk has been talking about a potential move. Pierre Van Hooijdonk's son has been talking about a potential move from Bologna. Celtic have been keeping tabs on the 4 million rated frontman. And Bologna are starting to look at other players to bring in to cover his position. Even though he's not getting a game in the team, they still need to fill that squad place. So it's one out and one in. They're looking at several players to come in. With the fact that Van Hooijdonk looks to be on his way out the door. Gustaf Lagerbielke, it's been suggested this morning that even though he was thrown into the Glasgow Derby without a solid sort of partner, he was thrown in there with Scales. People are now saying that he's not doing enough to prove that he's Celtic quality, and it looks like the player might be one of the ones that gets loaned out, which is an interesting one. And then Brendan Rodgers yesterday outlined the strategy going forward for the next couple of transfer windows. He says he wants to be bringing in more players that are first team ready and not project players. So we'll see how that one plays out. Obviously, is Van Hooijdonk one of those players? Obviously, he scored a cracking number of goals. I think it was about 17 goals in the Dutch League last season. So, Baz, I watched Ronnie Dyler years last night. Cheers. I do feel like Casper the Ghost this morning. Anyway, right, that is it for the Celtic news this morning. I am getting ready to go out. I'm going to get my brother up. We are heading over to the capital today just for a little jaunt. If Sydney is tall and good enough in the air, it's a bad, Michael Ross, it is a bizarre story that's come out this morning about Lagerbielke. Maybe he's just not doing it in training. I need to shut that cup. Is that better? Just, no, it's too dark. It's too dark and too white. Jeez. Anyway, if it's true about Lagerbielke, he needs to pull his weight in training. With that being said, that is enough for the Celtic news this morning. Hail, hail, folks. Enjoy your day. We will be live. I'm not going to be live tonight. There won't be any live tonight because I'm going through to Glasgow. So I'll try and do a video that will go up at 6 o'clock. It won't be live, I'm afraid, but we'll try and get a video up anyway for you all to watch just after 6 p.m. tonight. On that note, have a fantastic day.